Hello, my name is Taylor.
And I'm John.
Today we're going to be showing you how to make Jewish bread called challah.
Alright, so let's get started.
The very first step in the bread making process is to get the yeast fermenting. To do this, we're going to have to dissolve the yeast into a warm sugar water solution that is between 110 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. To do this, we'll have to dissolve our 1/2 cup sugar into our 2 cups of water. I find it easier to heat the water first and then mix in the sugar. So we're going to add our 2 cups of water into a bowl and heat that water in the microwave. Once I've heated the water for just a few minutes, just enough to get it a little warm, I'm going to add the sugar in and then stir that around a bit just to try to get it dissolved. And the water is not to the right temperature yet, so it does still need to be heated. So I'm going to turn the microwave back on for another minute and then measure the temperature again. Okay, so I've let that sit in the microwave for another minute, and we're going to test the temperature here. Now remember, it needs to be between 110 and 115 degrees. That looks perfect, 113. Okay, so now I'm going to take this out of the microwave, and then we're going to add our yeast. Okay, so now we're going to take our yeast and add that, and all we're going to do with that is just take one packet and just sprinkle it over the top like this. Make sure to get all of it there. Okay, and then we're going to let that sit for 10 minutes. While I have my yeast setting, I'm going to go ahead and combine my egg, oil, and salt into my other bowl here, and we're going to give this a good mix. Alright, so now as soon as this 10 minutes is up, we're going to take our yeast mixture here, we're going to just pour it in with our other ingredients that we have mixed up. Okay? So now immediately after doing that, I'm going to add our flour, because we want to get this mixture, we want to get this dough made while the mixture is still warm, so that the yeast has more time to set. So that was 1 cup of flour, and then I'm going to add a 2nd cup and mix it all up, and then we'll add the more flour. So what I've done is I've added 2 cups of flour. Now the recipe calls for anywhere between 5 and 6, and the exact number will really depend on your other ingredients and how much the yeast has risen for you. But you're going to want to add 2 cups of flour at a time and then mix and then add 2 more cups. So following that system, you should go through about 3 cycles to that. So you can see now that this is really watery, and obviously as we add more flour, this solution is going to thicken up and the dough is going to be formed off of this. But right now it's still really watery. So I'm just going to mix this in a good bit, and then I'm going to add 2 more cups of flour. So at this point I have added 2 more cups of flour, and you'll be able to see once it gets mixed in a little bit that it has become much more solid structure. It's becoming more like dough and less like watery. So once I get this mixed in, I'm going to continue to add flour right now. Like I mentioned, I'm at 4 cups right now, and then I'm going to add more until I have a dough that is not sticking to the side of the bowl here. And you can also notice that I'm currently using a spatula, and will get thick enough here in a second to where I'll need to just start using my hands. So once I get this mixing a little more, I'm going to add the remainder of my flour. So I've now added my last 2 cups, cup and a half to 2 cups of flour, and actually it's gotten a little too thick to use the spatula with, so at this point you're just going to have to manually mix by hand. So remember that I want to mix this until it gets to where the dough is not sticking to my fingers or sticking to the side of the bowl. Alright, so I have been kneading the flour into my dough for a few minutes now, and have it pretty much to where it's not sticking to my fingers or sticking to the sides of the bowl. So it is ready for the next step. So that next step is going to be taking our cooking spray and spraying the sides of the bowl and then shaking around the bowl until the dough is covered in cooking spray. So once we have the sides all greased up with cooking spray, I'm just going to shake this around until the dough is shiny and covered with cooking spray. So once we have finished moving the dough around to get the cooking spray on it, you should notice, you can see right here, that's a little bit shiny and then a little bit oily on my finger there. So that means that's perfect. So now the next step is to take this bowl and cover it with a sheet of plastic wrap that we have also sprayed with cooking spray. So I have my sheet of, so you can see here I have my sheet of plastic wrap that I have sprayed with the cooking spray. I'm just going to cover my dough up with that. And then all we need to do is cover this bowl with a towel and let it sit for about an hour. So we're going to want to let our dough sit like this in the dark for about an hour. But the hour is for temperatures between 85 and 95 degrees. So I'm sure that anyone's house is not that temperature, so you'll have to let it sit a little bit longer. A good way to judge is that it will be risen about twice the amount in volume. That's how much we're looking for. So how much ever dough we had now, at the end of the rising process should have about twice as much.
Okay, the dough's been rising for a couple of hours now. So I'm pressing it down so that way we can divide it up into pieces to shape it into the bread we're gonna make.
But so what are you gonna say?
We might want to spray the thing first. All right. Good. Okay. First thing you're gonna want to do before you put the dough onto the aluminum foil is to spray it with some cooking spray. This will keep it from sticking and makes it easier to work. There we go. Alright, now I'll put the dough out here. There we go. Alright, now it's ready to divide up. First thing you want to do is spread it out. As you see, it's really elastic, but that's because of the yeast that's in it. That's the way bread dough is supposed to be. Alright, so what we're doing now is cutting it up into strips so that way we can braid it. As you can see, the dough is really elasticy, so this makes the process really tricky. Okay, so what we're going to do now is push the strips together. I have 6 of them here. Together, just gently. Don't push them together so they'll stick. And the next step, alright, ready? The next step after that, take the top end, squish those things together. Okay, the next step is to braid the bread. And we're going to go over 2, under 1.
Alright, cut. I'm sorry.
So the next part is to take the furthest piece of bread over to the right. Put it under the second and third.
Okay. And you say something like, and then we're just going to continue that pattern.
Alright, the next step, take the farthest piece of dough to the right, go over 2, under 1, and over 2. And we're going to continue that pattern throughout. Alright, so now we got it braided. We're going to press it together so that way it stays when we go to put it on the oven rack. Because the last thing we want is this bread falling apart when we go to put it in the oven.
Okay, we need to. Do you want to film put it in the oven? Wait.
Alright, so we're going to put it in the oven now. And you see we've already got a piece of aluminum foil in there.
Perfect.
There we go.
There.
Alright, so you want to set the timer for 35 minutes. Alright, so as you can see, the bread is done. So we're going to cut it up, cut a piece off, and get a little taste of it.
You want to try the bread?
There's the inside of it.
Started over, I'm sorry.
Can't do that. He already cut it. And we're still talking and it's still going.
I'm so
This
sorry.
is in the final cut. It's fine.
Alright, my partner Taylor is going to come to the shot now.
Alright.
Alright, you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's get a taste of what it's like. 1, 2, 3.
Pretty good. Cut the tape.